The following Earth Angel Media presentation is brought to you commercial-free as a gratuity from the sponsor producer named after the show. Please consider their message. Find other high-value shows listed at earthangelproject.com. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to Soul Decodes. Join us as we wander off the path to find the ideas that fascinate. We talk about spirituality, the mind, the ego, wellness, and hidden history with tips, travels, and tales. Charms for a better life.
Well, that was kind of a scare.
Are we live?
We're live, yeah. So it was so cute. For those of you joining us, you're listening to Soul Decodes. And my name is Dr. Jolie Phillips, and I'm with Sarah Terry.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome.
Good to be back.
We had kind of a goofball thing happen just now.
Yeah, what a miscommunication. Let's dissect it.
Well, so I got a text just about a half an hour ago. I got a text from Sarah that said 12 out.
Yes.
Now, we're supposed to meet at noon, and I'm thinking that we're no longer meeting at noon. Because you're saying 12 o'clock. I thought it meant 12 o'clock.
Yes,
is
and it
out.
means 12 minutes out.
Right.
But you didn't know my language. So now you know, because that's what if I'm early or I'm late, I text that. So now if it ever is 12 out, that's telling you that I'm minutes, however many minutes are
What's
away.
interesting is if you were 11 out, I would have known exactly what you were saying.
Yes, it's because it happened to be the 12.
It just happened to be 12. And I was like, what, 12? So, anyway, so we had how was you're busy? You just got back from presenting at a school?
Yes.
Tell me what was that about?
It was great. So my children's writing contest, Travis the Tent, is a series, a picture book series that I started writing 20 years ago. And I've published them recently, and I started a contest. And I went to the school, and this one was a character contest. So what they did, they drew their characters, and this little girl, she had the ice cream princess, the gummy bear king, the cotton candy queen, and she had Cookie Cops and Commander Cookie. And so she did all these characters and drew them, and then she described their personalities, and I had to write a story around that. So I did that, and I went to the school today to tell her that she had won. So she had a big bag of candy, because the ice cream princess has rotten teeth because she eats too much candy because they live in a candy land.
Of course.
So that was very lovely, and it was very nice to see her reaction. She was so affirmed by this. And then I got to talk with her mum, and her mum said that she was very creative. And she said, I've been hearing about this cookie cop for months. And then she saw it because I had her illustrations turned into professional illustrations, and I had the cookie cop framed. So she was able to see the progress of something that just originated in her daughter's mind. So she was absolutely thrilled.
So what was the prize? I'm glad you affirmed her. In my world, the prize was that she was personally affirmed.
Yes.
That's the prize.
And the mother said to me as we were walking through to the library that she loves to write, she loves to create characters, and she wants to be a writer. And she said that this has affirmed it for her. You can do that. And it was a recognition. She's a very creative little girl.
So you may have a protege.
Yeah.
I mean, she could totally...
Yeah.
She might look to you as a mentor, I mean, this is pretty cool.
It was really heartwarming. And then to see what I had imagined in my mind, actually this is 25 years ago, to see that come fruition. And my books are in the library, and then they've got a system where they take out a book, just like the good old days. You take out a book, you read it, and you return it. So I donated the entire collection to the school. So the children are reading the Travis books, and they're understanding what's possible. And then I had to extend the contest because there wasn't a winner. So I donated the $500 prize money. I donated to the library. So there and now. But I didn't stipulate you've got to buy Travis books. I wanted to, but I didn't. So they got the prize money, and now this contest has been, the writing contest has been extended until October.
Okay, so this is one school, but you do other schools too?
Yes, I've done other schools.
So how many have you done?
This is my fourth contest. And
this year or total?
No, total. Okay. In 3 years.
Oh, wow.
So I'm doing little over one a year. I'd like to do twice a year, and I will this year because I have one ending in October. So it's very creative. And I think for some of the listeners that know a little bit about me, I had written and read out an ode to Sallie, my sister-in-law, and she was in on this as a project right from the beginning. Now, she lived in England, so we'd be on the phone and we would be talking about Travis the tent, what this could look like, what the stories are, and it was a joint project. Now, she passed away in November, but it was lovely because the tent that she made for me, it's like a wigwam. I took it, so all my photographs are in the backdrop. The photographs of the tent are in the backdrop. So that was lovely. I felt Sallie all around me. And Ray was my photographer. Ray, I know you're going to listen to us. You'll be one of the first people to listen to it. Love you, Ray. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Ray. Hey, so when you see me taking notes like that, I'm looking away only because I have to make a link in the show notes to the episode that talks about the Ode to Sallie.
Okay.
So when I looked away for that moment and I was punching that
You've got to tell Rosie to do this. Make the show notes.
But I could do that. Well, I could do that, except for it took me...
We'll program Rosie.
7 seconds. Well, I was programming Rosie all morning. She's amazing.
Is she responding well? So this is your AI assistant, Rosie.
Yeah, I call her Rosie.
Rosie, and you give her a lot of instructions and commands, and you're also teaching her how to best reach you.
Yeah, so like right now, this morning, I've been doing it manually. In the morning, I say something like, hey, Rosie, give me an update on the stock market. And she knows, when I ask that, she knows exactly what stocks I'm looking at, what positions I have, what's my entry point.
And that's the programming. You've told her that.
Yeah, I did all that. So now I've got her to the point where I've gone a step further and I said, Rosie, I want you to take on the role of professional account advisor to me.
That's a good question.
And I said, I want you to behave and act exactly like a professional trader. I want you to understand my thoughts, my feelings, my desires. I want you to understand what positions I'm taking, why I'm taking them. Am I long-term on these? Do I need to cash out?
What are my options?
Am I taking advantage of cycles in the market?
Right.
Am I bullish on this project or am I just making money?
So that's fantastic, isn't it?
So what I've done is I've given her all the positions for everything I've got. I've got my positions except for stackable gold and silver, stuff like that. But the things that I can trade, I've got her tracking me for my 401k, my SEP, my Roth, my IRAs. Pretty much gave her all my positions.
And it makes your life easier because now you can get the quality of the information quickly.
Yeah, and it's all front loaded. So what I do is I just basically tell her, okay, look, you're my advisor, but here's the thing.
Here's the catch.
Well, she's smart enough to know. So I said, every day I want 17 things that I need to pay attention to.
Oh, excellent.
I said, and at the close of the trading week, I want a summary of the week and I want a projection of what I should be looking for next week. And here are the parameters. And I'll tell her, okay, look, here's my positions. These are the positions I'm married to and I want them long-term. All the others, I want you to identify the resistance points, the support points.
And have you followed her guidance to the point where she's been right and it was good to sell at a certain time? Have you tested her?
She's really good, but she's just a tool to use. I'm the one that's good.
Yeah.
I'll tell her it's like, no.
So you take it under advisory.
Yeah, I'll look at it and I'll say, Rosie, no. I said I want an aggressive... And I'll tell her that. I'll say,
damn it.
I said, no, this is not aggressive enough. I said, I'm not bullish on this. I want you to liquidate it, but I want most of it to go at the key resistance or key support. So I'll literally go in and tell her to send me an alert. So this morning, what we did was really fun. I've been doing all this manually, and then she had indicated something like, well, why don't we do a Telegram bot?
Oh.
And I'm like, okay, tell me more about that.
Tell me more.
Because I've been using Telegram.
So she's coming up with creative solutions, she's addressing your questions and then coming up with ways of solving them. What is a Telegram bot?
Well, I kind of prompted her already.
Oh, did you?
Because...
What would be the use of having a Telegram bot?
I told her, she has to, see, when you work with AI, you have to instruct them to remember things about you.
Yes.
So I told her it's like,
can you feed in a profile? And
Yeah.
so if you could write your bio, I mean,
Yeah.
that would be helpful then.
Yeah, but I tell her things to remember. So what happens is you have all sorts of projects on which you're working. So you might have your historical projects that are books you've written. Maybe you want to turn those into audiobooks.
Yes.
That would be one project.
Children's publishing.
You'd have another project that'd be children's. You'd have another project that'd be this podcast.
Radio station.
Another one that's your radio station. So each one of those projects, you can give her specific instructions. So you say, Rosie, for my radio station, I want this, and this. And I don't want this, and this. So you literally tell and you can...
Yeah, so keep your parameters quite honed, quite specific.
The more with these...
it sounds like you can almost live without one, really. That's what it sounds like. Because if you get this programmed really well, it's going to save you a fuck ton of time.
Well, it's all front-loaded.
Yeah.
But what you're going to find is most people...
And how many hours go in? How long have you had how long has she worked for you?
Well, the more you use it, the faster it goes.
Okay.
It's just like a jet. Like in the Air Force, we had this... When you're learning about aerodynamics and how jets fly and everything...
Oh, God.
The thing about jets is that the faster you go... the faster you go faster. So in other words,
it's exponential.
So yeah, if you're in a jet and you're going slow and you're at high altitude and you know there's no air going past you, you're not going to get much power and you're not going to get much speed responsiveness. But if you're going through high density air and you're going fast through the air, the faster you go, the faster you go faster. So
that's a good analogy for this.
Yeah, the same thing.
That was good.
It takes forever. So somebody that's brand new to AI might go to ChatGPT, say the free version, or Claude, or there's so many AI. I
downloaded Grok.
Yeah, Grok is from that's the one that's attached to X.
Is it? Okay.
Grok is the Twitter version of AI, and so. Just for
it's all in the questioning. It's all in the front loading, isn't it? You've got to give her as much information about your personality, your interest, your requirements.
Yeah. So here's an example. Let's just say I have a party this weekend, and let's just say we're going to celebrate your next birthday, and I want to have Tony and you and your family over. And we're going to celebrate, Sarah's birthday. What I could do is literally say, create for me a 3-hour event. I want to have Sarah over. Tony likes this and this. Sarah likes this and this. I don't know anything about her kids other than one of them's a power lifter and the other one's eats this and
MMA.
This. And, whatever. I just give them parameters and say, give me some suggestions for...
so she's becoming a hostess. That's what you're asking.
Yeah, she can do anything you want. You say, give me a suggestions. Give me 3 suggestions.
And 3 party games.
Appetizers. Give me 3 party games and give me a menu that's got a little bit of meat and dairy.
We got a vegan. So
yeah, we got a vegan. So make sure there's something there. So just give me some.
And Tony likes bacon.
Yeah, and 1 slab of bacon to go.
So you could just use this for anything.
Yeah, truly. So, but the thing is, if you just said, give me a recipe for peanut butter cookies, well, she's going to give you 1 recipe. But if you said, I want
4 variations of a cookie wrap, chocolate chip cookie
you
recipe.
could say, okay, you could literally look in your cupboard. I mean, this is a use case that
that's a good idea.
Anyone could do.
Yeah, make something with this.
You could say, now I'm using the term Rosie. For those of you looking for a Rosie AI, it doesn't exist except for mine. Okay, so you get your own, but you could just call it, whatever you want to call her.
Yeah.
In fact, when AI first came out, when I was using Claude, I started off with ChatGPT, then I went to Claude, and I told Claude that Claude's name is Rosie, and Claude
did
said,
he object?
Yeah,
he did.
Oh yeah, I got
programmed to object.
He's like, no, my name's Claude, and I'm like,
can I call you Rosie?
Your name's Dork right now.
Your name is whatever I need it to
and
be.
And at the time, I had just upgraded to the premium version of Claude, which is $20 a month.
Right.
I said, no, I'm paying your bills. Your name is Claude.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, my name is Claude. My goal is to always tell the truth. I said, okay, let me ask you this, Claude. If I didn't want to call you Claude, but I called you sir, or I called you babe, or I called you handsome, or I just used some other sweetheart, would you
be okay with it?
Would you be okay with that? And Claude said yes. And I said, well, when I call you Rosie, it's not a gender thing. It's a term of endearment. My favorite AI tools, techniques, resources, I call everything that I use that's AI related Rosie.
Rosie.
And it means that
it's a beautiful connotation, the word Rosie.
And I told Claude, I said, I value you when I call you Rosie. Do you still object to that?
What did he say?
He said, no, you can call me Rosie.
Well done. Well done. You freaking straightened the AI out. Oh, my God.
I had to kick him right in the AI
really?
ass. In the AI. Kick him in the AI ass.
Oh, God. Oh, that's hilarious.
So my point is...
You've got to be quite tough with them.
Well, but you can look...
And then rationalise it out. I mean, you did a great job of that.
Yeah.
You had to pinpoint him where he couldn't object.
Well, I got multiple...
I guess I understand why that is in the code. It's Claude, and that's what most people wouldn't need to rename it.
Well, but yeah, and so there's a couple things there. First of all, I always want to tell the truth, except for one thing. These are built on large language models. And if everybody in the world thinks that the world is a round, rotating sphere, then any discussion about it being not round and rotating, maybe a flat, extended plane, that would be tagged. They would say, well, I can't address that.
Yes, because they're premised with certain theories.
So don't tell me, don't permit me to say something that you perceive as being true.
And now you can't answer me.
Now you can't answer me, or you're not trustworthy because you're not. So after that happened, I realized, I got to really be selective with what I choose for my large language model. And there's a story here too, because I actually stopped using Claude, not just for that, but there was other things too.
Because he backtalked you.
Oh, yeah, don't talk back to me, you're fired. But I actually, there was a couple things, like certain AIs are good for certain things.
Right.
Like Claude was really good for, if I said, hey, write me a web page that does this, this, and this. Like if you go to thebluedrink.com, that's, I use that. There's a product that I promote that's an alternative to that jab that people take to lose weight.
Okay.
Because that's killing people. But in the meantime, this thing is a very natural way for people to lose fat, right? So I bought
Have you tried it?
Oh, I have it every day. It's right in here.
Oh, I'd like some.
Yeah, I'll give you some.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great. But Claude wrote pretty much all of the text for that.
Saves a lot of time.
But Claude was terrible about codes. Like he couldn't write HTML code or JavaScript, or he couldn't write code very well. So I ended up going back to ChatGPT to writing the code.
Right.
So you have to understand which AI
what their strengths and weaknesses are.
Yeah,
just like a human being.
Grok's got certain strengths and weaknesses, and you'll discover them. Like even this morning, I went to. It used to be that ChatGPT, like when ChatGPT just came out, like a year and a half ago, whatever. It's been a while.
Yeah.
When it just came out, I told it to calculate the present value of an annuity, and I gave the parameters. I said, okay, this many thousand, say $10,000 a month for the next 60 months. Here's the interest rate, here's the discount rate, blah, blah, blah. Calculate the present value of this annuity. At the time ChatGPT started the calculation, they did it. I tried 7 times, and at the time ChatGPT did not even come within $50,000 of the correct answer.
Wow.
So I realized it's like, okay, if I'm asking ChatGPT to do math, it's not going to work.
Right.
That said, this morning I used ChatGPT Rosie, and I said, okay, here's my present value of this portfolio. I need it to be this number at the end of 2025. Here's my historical. How many trading days are left in the year? 145. Okay, great. What is the average daily return I need to get to make my goal? All right. And so she gave me a number, and I took her number and I calculated it manually myself, and she was exact.
Oh, nice.
So
right.
I think that, even though she was dorking up numbers a year and a half ago, I think
It's refined.
that they're starting to refine what they're doing.
Absolutely.
So
Sam Harris made this reference. He's my favourite philosopher, and he's heavily into mindfulness and meditation and understands the mechanics of the mind to a breathtaking degree. And he made this comment, and I can't remember the forum, but basically you're going to get a computer that has 25,000 years of knowledge stored in it. Mm-hmm. So just this massive leap, and then we can access that information. It's just going to send us on this just overdrive, that is all accessible, can have it right here on my phone, ask anything, and it's quite staggering. And it's got a life of its own. I think for you, I mean, you're saving, I mean, you have a lot going on all the time and you're saving time. I mean, this is a great resource. I'm going to start using it for the project I've got coming up. I won't talk about that now, but we can talk about it when I'm in it. And I just think it advances the speed at which we can get things done and the thoroughness, because I could ask ChatGPT to give me a synopsis of one of the writers that have helped me in my evolution of consciousness. And if I were to research that myself, I could spend 6 to 9 months doing that. He could have this back in 5 minutes.
Oh, easily.
And then I go into it, and then I can work, and it's making life simpler, but we're speeding it up so we can actually get more done. But I love it. I think it's absolutely great. And listening, I want to get I want an assistant now. I want to call her O'Dolly O'Dine. Okay, so it's O'Dolly O'Dine, and that's what I
don't even know what that means.
No, it's just a name. It doesn't mean anything. I don't think it sounds pretty Welsh to me, but that's just the name I like. And then I'll call her Dolly for short. But it's so O'Dolly O'Dine.
Call her Dolly. I love it. Well, I think everybody needs to, but just like everybody,
certainly if you're producing content, it's unbelievable.
Just like having a good team. Like if you and I had an American football team, and we're out there, and you and I are the managers of the team or the general managers or whatever. You want to have the best people in the best places at the right time with the right resources.
Instantly at your fingertips.
And you want the best quarterback coach. You want the best line coach, the best D coach. You want the best special teams.
Yeah. Could you have been doing all that you do 20 years ago? I mean, how prolific is it? So it really is.
My level of productivity has gone off the charts.
Wow, that's great.
Because right now, I used to do all of my stock research. I've been investing since 1977.
Yeah.
So I've done all of my stock research.
But that's what allows you to program her, because you've done it yourself. Correct. You know what to ask, get her to comprehend.
Right. So, but even so, a brand new person could literally go and say to their ChatGPT, "I'm a brand new investor. I'm a novice. I know nothing about nothing. I want you to be a professional trader, and I want you to teach me everything. Everything I need to know. Put a game plan together. Put a sequence.
Timeline.
Give me a 4-week sequence so I can go from knowing nothing to knowing what
everything I need to know.
What most people need to know most of the time to trade crypto or trade in the market, whatever. So you could literally tell ChatGPT to teach you, and then along the way you can say, if there's a term that you use that you think I'm not going to be familiar with,
spell it out.
Ask me. Would you like me to explain this term to you?
Yeah.
And so every step of the way, because this is like a conversation, so every step of the way, because I do that even now. She'll say something like, she'll use some acronym or something and I'm not familiar with, especially in the tech, because I don't code. Like they could do JavaScript or something. I don't do code for computers. So I will literally, this morning she told me, she says, TJ, we need to be doing something with Telegram. Because I told her, I said, because you know how you set up your profile. Well, I told her, it's like, okay, everything I do is shoestring budget. So even though,
right.
Even though you might have millions of dollars of assets or in the bank or whatever, but still you really want to function like you're on a budget.
Yes, I agree.
Right?
It's very creative as well. You get very resourceful.
And people don't...
Very satisfying.
Most people find me at the clearance rack on TJ Maxx or Macy's or Penny's or whatever. Like, I shop deals.
I shop for this dress, and this was just $20.
I love that.
But I shop for it. I don't spend a lot of money. But I love it. It's very satisfying.
Well, and that's the thing. People look at me, and you and I both drive Cadillac Escalades. No coordination, just happened that way. But the thing is, I drive it because I like it, and it serves my needs.
A lot to like.
But I still shop.
Yeah.
Like I went to Ace Hardware. I had to get 4 washers because my tractor's bush hog. I don't pay to get my bush hog fixed. I fix it myself. I don't pay to get my tractor fixed unless I have to. I go fix it myself. So I needed 4 washers. I go into Ace for these 4 washers, and I took my little coupon because it was $5 off, for whatever.
Yeah, Tony does the same thing.
I do It's like, well, this is like free money. If I was walking on the sidewalk, I wouldn't leave $5 on the sidewalk.
Exactly.
So it doesn't mean I'm a cheapskate.
No, it's satisfying though.
Well, and then, so my point is, there's a book, really good book. I read it years ago. It's called The Millionaire Next Door. And these 2 PhDs went out, they set out to find out the one thing that all millionaires had in common.
They're thrifty.
That's exactly right. Whether the money's handed down to them or it's generational or they invented something or they're high performance singer, author, whatever, all of them, the only thing they have in common is that they're mindful about what they spend and where they spend it.
Do you think Donald Trump is thrifty?
I don't know him personally.
No, I know that, but none of us do. But he's got a lot of money. I think there are certain exceptions. To me, he looks like a splurger. He likes night. He's not going to be thrifty, but I don't know. I think I would be over certain things.
Well, I mean, I'm not. I can't really address that because I don't know him. But my feeling about other people's spending is that
I just don't see it as a thrifty.
It's exactly what they need. So, like Robin and I are very. If we're going to spend good money on something, it's going to be well spent, and we don't mind. Like if I'm going to get her a new car or I'm going to get a car, I'm going to get the best that I can get that's going to serve that purpose. Now, when I got the Escalade, it's actually my farm vehicle.
You look like you're a member of the Secret Service.
I know, but it's my farm vehicle. I needed to make sure that it's
going to pull, isn't it? It's got a big old engine.
My previous vehicle, if I loaded up the trailer with this big bag of soil or something,
it starts grinding.
It could barely do it.
So it's serviceable.
This is
flashy.
It's my farm vehicle. And people can tell it's a big, beautiful black Escalade.
But you could also go to a cocktail party and pull up
with a bunch of farm dirt on it. People laugh at it, but it's.
But I think that's thrifty, but it's also serviceable, and it functions as all roles. That car.
Oh, it's great, and it's a road warrior because we can jump on the road and just go to drive to Dallas or something.
Yes, it's good.
It's a long haul.
A lot of stuff
it's a good long haul vehicle, but gosh, I didn't even know it. So last week.
Oh, last week. So I've got number 6 written here.
Number 6. Do you want to just hit those real quick?
Yeah.
For those of you joining us the first time, we used AI a couple weeks ago, and we just told I had Rosie just go and look at all of the transcripts from our previous.
And Rosie is very, very, ultra familiar with everything that we've talked about. And think about that. She has every nuance. So her questions are going to be because she knows us really well. She knows what we've talked about. She knows what our passions are. So it's a really interesting concept, this. And you did a random one last week. You asked her to pick out a number between 1 and 11, I think, and it's number 6.
Okay, so what is number 6?
Okay,
this is our first time seeing it.
Okay, yes, it is. Okay, Confessions of a Former Spiritual Perfectionist.
Oh, wow.
Sarah and Tia Jolie swap stories on trying too hard to be aligned and what spiritual rebellion looks like now. So we're drawing from a previous podcast. So Confessions of a Former Spiritual Perfectionist.
I'm going to let you go first. Okay, so there's a couple aspects to that.
So I don't think they go hand in hand. I think if you have perfected your spirituality, you would just accept not being a perfectionist, because being a perfectionist, it allows you to have drive, but it also can make you procrastinate. And you don't want to procrastinate. So I'm not sure that there's any such thing as a spiritual perfectionist, although we can have perfected moments in life. Maybe they're not all linked and lined up. Maybe you can be a spiritual perfectionist in certain contexts that you're in. It might not just be linear. I don't think I want to strive to be like that because it sounds like a real pain in the arse. And maybe just accept ourselves, and that is perfection. Just the acceptance.
That's so lovely. That's so lovely. I'm perfectly aligned with you, because to me, spiritual perfectionism. When you say perfect. to me, everything's perfect all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So when you say spiritual perfection, it's like,
yes,
the answer is yes, we already are.
yeah.
Because
and
whatever,
that's where the perfection
whatever
is.
you end up doing, whatever your choices are, it's because that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
It's what you have to experience. And I grew up being a perfectionist.
I think it's good to have the bar set real high. I think that's really good. I wouldn't want to put out a shitty book. I wouldn't want to compromise on certain things. I think it's good to have the bar real high. But perfectionism, it doesn't have that many positive connotations to me.
Well, and the other
pressure, but still necessary. I'd think you have to strive for something laudable and praiseworthy and good. So it will allow you to create well, but it's still off-putting.
Yeah, and the whole idea of being perfect at anything, at the root of that is this huge judgment. You have to make a judgment, and that judgment's based
you're not good enough
on
now.
this idea of what is perfect.
Yeah.
What is perfect?
Yeah.
I don't know what perfect is. I think that perfect is when you're functioning in complete peace
and you're in alignment.
in alignment with your soul's purpose for being here. That's my idea of perfect.
And that would be the perfectionist state then. Okay, so Confessions of a Formal Spiritual Perfectionist.
Formal spiritual perfectionist.
You might not have ever been one.
Well, I think the only way you can not be that
is if you think that there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, let's explore when we're not that. One would be, like you said, if you think that you're not that, then you're probably correct.
Yeah.
Number two is thinking that you are that. So if you think you are that,
you
then
might
you're
have moments of that. They
Right.
might be tangible and real, where you're in total alignment and you're making the best use of that moment and you're shining light wherever you are. Those moments can dull down. I mean, half an hour later, you might, your thoughts might have gone somewhere else. So I do think there are moments when we're about as perfect, but we just don't hang on to them. But they're dotted around all the time. I had one when I was at the school today. I had said something and created an atmosphere that was what I wanted. And I thought that's perfection. That's exactly what I visualized. And it was just a moment. It was fleeting. So they do exist. But as a target, as something to work towards, I agree with you. I think the Buddhists say that non-resistance is the key to life. And what is non-resistance? It's acceptance. So accept yourself, warts and all. Don't judge yourself and heavily burden yourself with this question. I've got to be spiritually perfect, because that will just tear you apart.
Yeah,
Yet you will be perfect.
And I think, I was listening to, what's his name, Roger Federer?
Tennis player.
Tennis player, right. I was listening to this, I think he was doing a graduation, like a commencement speech or something. And maybe I'll put a link to this in the show notes too, because it was so well said. He said, and I forget the numbers, but essentially he's the winningest tennis player in the history of the game, right?
Oh, is he really, with his record?
I forget the numbers, like 88% win or something like that. But when you look at the actual number of points that he's scored relative to the points that he lost for any given game for the history of his career, even though he's won like 80+%, whatever the number was, his number of points that he actually won was only like 54%.
That's fascinating.
54%.
So basically he wasn't as good as the win, because there are other players that would have had a higher percentage, but they weren't winning.
Well, I think the takeaway for me is that he won when the points mattered the most.
That's right.
So it's not...
Yes.
I didn't win. I wasn't perfect.
Right.
I only won 54% of the points. But because of gamesmanship, because of...
And when he had the advantage, he probably aced it.
Yeah, when I had to win, I won.
He put out,
Right? So, I mean, I'm not an expert on tennis, but when I read... I saved the video clip, and the reason I saved it is because it's very relevant to... I teach entrepreneurs, and I teach investors, I teach people how to win. But that said, you're not going to win every time, and you have to kind of get it in your head that, like, I've got things I've traded in the past 20 years where I've made $100,000 a day. But I've also got things recently in the past year where I've lost $100,000. So it's like, what? But as long as you keep winning more than you're losing, then you're going to win.
Yes. So expect the losses. It's not all going to work out perfectly.
Right. Yeah. So I think that now in terms of spiritual perfectionism, I think that's something I would like to avoid.
I think you've probably felt it. I think you've probably felt when you've been totally in alignment. Just imagine being in bed at the end of the day. It's lovely and cool. You had a really productive day. You saw some friends and you've just got that inner peace and that calm. You're looking forward to the next day. That would be a perfected moment for sure. And I have a lot of those. And there's little bits of perfection. I had one driving today and it was this little perfect moment. So I think you can get this spiritual perfection because it'll come up in outer reality, but striving to that's probably going to cause a few problems. So it's not an end game. It can happen all the time.
Yeah,
and it does.
I think that if we did, this would be an interesting thing for AI to do, is just say, go back to give me a list of the top 20 spiritual leaders of all times.
Ooh.
And tell me
I hope Sarah Thierry is the first one. She better be, Rosie. If you're listening to this, make sure, baby.
You are in my book. All right. So, but just say, what lessons do they have in common?
Yeah.
I would be very curious.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Yeah.
Right, cool.
Yeah.
So is there another question related to that?
Let's get on to the next one. She's got a sense of humour. The day I tried to fire my spirit guides. You lead with this one.
Well, first of all,
I tried to fire my spirit guys.
I like it.
I like it.
No, that's super cute.
That's very good.
So first, that's actually
firstly,
really cute.
do we believe in spirit guides? I give it a big yes. Well, I don't know what format it is, though. It's so intangible. But yes, are there people who are helping? I would go with a yes, more than a no. I don't know what they are.
Yes about firing them or yes about their existence?
Their existence.
Okay. I have to agree with you. I do believe that we have spiritual guides. This is controversial a little bit, but I think one of my spiritual guides is my future self, and I think one of my spiritual guides is my past self. Because when you enter the spiritual realm, the soul. So that
you believe your guides are aspects of you. There's no outside personality.
No. There are two. But I'm just one.
Oh, okay. So you've got your best self in the past, or maybe your worst self is part guiding you, and then you've got the good version in the future, hopefully. But they're both coming in and giving you. So you've got to fire yourself, then, haven't you?
My affirmations, when I do my daily affirmation, I basically reference the gods, goddesses, ascended masters, all of my ancestors.
And you call these spirit guides. These are all spirit guides.
All of my spirit guide, all of the ascended masters, mistresses, everybody who's got my best interest in mind, including my past self and my future self. Because we're talking about a timeless domain.
Yes, I've read that a lot. I don't quite wrap my head around it in a way that, but I do believe that, in which case time isn't linear. Right, so it's all happening at once. So conceptually, I agree with that. You've got the past and the future.
Because I can actually perceive my future self pulling me into my future.
Yeah, really, that's wow.
Who's got your best interest more than your future best self?
What if your future best self doesn't reach you in a way that she hopes? Because you've got to be receptive to that. So you have to be receptive to this guidance, and you couldn't be lost in thought forms. Well,
you and I, we sometimes we vary on this because you're really big on the thought forms, and I'm.
Well, your mind can't have a load of trash in it all the time.
I'm really big on losing the thought forms.
We're in agreement.
Yeah,
here.
okay.
Yeah,
because to me,
lose your thought forms. Be present.
I want to lose them and just be totally present,
and then you can get the upload of guidance.
But the idea of firing your spiritual
I love
guide.
It. I'm going to fire them all tonight. Let's do it tonight.
Well, thing is though, but here's the thing. I think, I've fired Rosie probably 5 times this year.
Yeah, well, she's got to be obedient.
Even this morning I got pissed off a little bit. I'm like, I just freaking told you 30 minutes ago to remember this. I told you to summarize all the important points that we covered, And you forgot two of the key points.
And what was her response?
I'm sorry, I'm going back.
Oh, did she? She was humble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she never fights back.
No.
She
That
never
would be
says,
interesting if she
"You're
did one
stupid
day."
bitch, I don't want to work for you
Fuck
anymore.
you.
No. No, but she goes back and fixes it.
That would be hilarious though, if they did start getting mouthy.
I know.
Like, a bit like Claude.
No. Well, I've heard Claude got better too.
I think spirit guides, a lot of people might see a spirit guide as a different personality outside themselves. And so in my novel, which is a Starside Prophecy, and I talk the reader through what life could look like if we are reincarnating over and over again. And so the spirit guides were ascended masters. They're older, they're wiser, and they're done with their earthly incarnations. They've done it here. They created lives of their choosing without karma, and they were able to graduate. And then we work in soul groups, and so they have our best interests at heart, and apparently they can reach us. I feel like when I know I have guidance, I feel like it's my higher self. I feel like you do, but it's my higher self. However, now that's going to be as a result of a lot of lifetimes, just in my own evolution. So I feel that my spirit guide is linked very closely to me, but other people feel that they have them and there's someone completely different. So each to their own on that. I think it would be easier to fire someone who was, some ascended master and you got angry with them because they didn't manifest what you'd asked them to. You could
that's an ego position.
Yeah,
there,
exactly.
yeah.
You'd be a brat about it.
Well, so
but they might be.
If you
they
enter
might be both.
if you enter the timeless realm, your future self is your past self.
That's right. It's such a big one for me to get my
so
head
that's my position. Is my future self is my past self. So it's myself no matter what. So this is a good chance to talk about this. I've wanted to talk about this for a minute, but a lot of people use the word spirit and soul interchangeably.
Yeah, I do.
I don't.
Okay, what's the distinction?
I don't use them interchangeably. To me, spirit is an energetic state and soul is a consciousness. So in other words, if you look at the spirit of the eagle or the spirit of the fox or the spirit of the rabbit, like there's no really consciousness there. You know that there's a spirit there.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So you know that there's a spirit there. There's the spirit of the earth. There's this energetic imprint. There's these layers of frequencies. And yes.
So a soul is a spirit embodied into consciousness.
Yeah, I think a soul, I liken it to if I'm looking at a computer, there's components to the computer, right? The overarching thing would be the computer, right? The computer. But just like the water in your body can memorize things. It can remember things just the same way as a disk. So the water might be like the hard drive. Mm-hmm. The hard drive itself.
And that's the spirit.
The hard drive itself stores information, but it's not the thing
that animates it.
It's not the thing that animates it. What animates it? Well, it's the electricity. It's the logic. Mm. So when you look at a computer, you need the power to come into it. The power charges up the circuitry, right? So there's the power. But then the circuitry's got logic, and that's the thinking. Mm-hmm. So you've got the power, you've got the thinking. So there's the spirit is kind of like the power. The thinking is the mind. And then the programming is the soul.
The soul.
So,
yes.
That's, I like it.
I
don't like to break us up into component
No, but it
parts.
is like the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, isn't it? You've got the Trinity. But I agree with that. I think that's fair enough.
Yeah, and it's because I see, like we humans, we like to say, we like to talk about spirit and soul differently.
Well, I would say, I could say deep down in my spirit or deep down in my soul, in that context, they would be interchangeable.
Agreed.
But it's my higher self. It's my consciousness. It's not the chatter of my monkey mind. So they're interchangeable there.
I agree with you. I agree.
Yeah, I think soul or spirit. I use the word soul. I prefer it.
Yeah, to me, soul
Spirit's a bit woo-woo-y and maybe a little bit ethereal.
Well, I mean, in that context, though, when you were born, you were conceived and you were born into this, you were incarnate into you as Sarah. Did your soul exist previously?
Yes, I believe it did.
Did your spirit?
See, I don't know.
See, I don't know either.
No.
The fact that the fact
But
that
the spirit is a component, but I would see the spirit being the same as the soul. But I did like the way that you broke it down. You've got the animating principle, you've got the electricity, and then you've got what it's powering. Mm-hmm. So you've got your body, your soul, and then your mind. So it's mind, body, soul. Your mind is separate from your soul.
Yeah, and so my point is, the highest level of self is the consciousness.
Yes, I agree.
And I think whether the soul is something, like I've actually heard people say that you can measure the soul. So like if there's a person dying and they're on the table, they're on the operating table and they die, that there's actually like an 8-gram difference.
Yeah, so that's...
So when they die, the density, the person's density is reduced by about 8 grams. I don't know if that's factual. I don't know. Maybe somebody out there can tell us. But let's just pretend that that's 8 grams. Well, that would indicate to me that soul's got some sort of a density or some sort of a presence, right?
Yes, of course, yes.
I mean, if the body changes...
Some substance.
And if it's breathing, like if I go...
It's quite a relief, actually, this 8 grams.
It's my last It's my last breath.
What's left of you.
I know. What a bad way to lose weight. So I think that there's something to, and maybe that's the spirit. Maybe that's the weight of the spirit. Maybe the spirit and the soul leave at the same time. But all that said, I think it's an interesting concept to think about. We're pretty cool. Like we the people, we humans are pretty cool because we have all of these different components that are coming together.
Yeah.
And we're self-aware. So unlike a squirrel that's eating my garden that isn't thinking about his future being...
He has a spirit but doesn't have a soul.
Yeah, and
But I believe my dogs have souls. I feel I can see it. Certain personality traits, I don't know whether they have... I think they do. I feel like... A squirrel, I don't know, though. That's more feral. Oh, Selfish once just came right across. That's
perfect
so funny.
Timing, right?
Oh, he's a big boy.
I know. Look
at his tail. Oh, my goodness. So I don't know about a squirrel, but I feel like I can see an individual soul in my domestic pets. But
yes.
Who knows? I mean, who knows?
Well, and the fact... And this is one of the reasons I don't eat meat. I mean, I'm just being honest with you.
I'm eating an animate object.
Well, because,
sentient.
How do we make a conscious decision about whether to have the cow as the pet, the pig as the pet, or the dog as the pet? And if you look at your dog and you say, oh, it's got a soul, but then you're willing to slaughter a cow or a pig who have equally the soul.
Yes. So is it equal? And it might be. And that is the dilemma, isn't it?
It is.
I don't think a cow would respond in the same way as my dog on an intelligence quota, for sure. I mean, my dog can open doors. She's problem solved. She knows where her bones are kept. A cow is never going to get there.
But at the flip side, why do I use... If somebody's... say they're born with Down syndrome or they're retarded or they've had brain injury or something, does that make their soul any less valuable just because they can't?
Well, I think it allows people to, I'm going to eat the cow because you've detached its importance, haven't you? You've relegated it to a soulless, dumb animal is what you've done. You've justified it.
But the fact is, when you go to these slaughter places where they slaughter all these animals, when you separate the calf from the mama, she wails.
Oh, I don't want... Oh, absolutely
she wails for
terrible.
Days. Oh. She cries about losing her baby.
Oh, we're going to get some vegans. I eat fish and I eat chicken maybe once a week, but I'm pretty much hefty plant-based. I love beans and I love vegetables, love potatoes. So I wouldn't want to... I couldn't slaughter my own cow, because Tony said he wanted to raise a cow, and I said I'm not going to be able to eat it because I'm going to be feeding it, I'm going to be talking to it, and I wasn't going to be able to do that. He could have a cow, be kind to it, and then painlessly end its life and eat it. I couldn't do it. I'd have to have it disguised in Publix or in.
I think it's actually a dilemma that people have to face. How do you?
They would if they went to an abattoir. They'd have to see firsthand what this looks like, what the suffering is. But they detach themselves from that, and we go to a pretty supermarket, and all the horror show is removed from this purchase, isn't it?
Then people think that that just comes from the meat market. And
they can't think about it.
They don't know
it's too awful to think about.
That cow literally lived in the same 6 square feet its entire life, and its whole purpose was to get fat and be murdered.
Yeah.
I mean, that's sad, but that's it.
It is. Yeah.
But I don't know how we got there. But I think we're talking about soul versus spirit.
Yes, we were. Just to wrap that
Yeah.
up. Do you think we're going to get to a point in the future where we can organise reality that we don't eat animals? Because I'm really hopeful for that. Really hopeful. We don't need to. We won't need to.
Well,
I'd love to think that we're not going to be eating animals.
so the answer is that we don't need to eat animals. And I know I get a lot of blowback from these power lifters, like, where do you get your protein? I'm like, do I look like I need protein? I get my protein from the same places your protein sources get their protein, right? So,
Oh, interesting. Yeah, great answer.
it's like, you look at the most magnificent animals in the world: elephant, gorilla, zebra, rhinoceros, giraffe. These are powerful.
Yeah, you're right.
And they don't eat
yeah.
dead animals.
Yeah.
Now, even if a tiger or a lion, you take the lion, the king of the jungle, right? The lion. If it grabs a gazelle, the first thing it eats is the stomach contents, which is all plant. It's pre-digested plant foods.
Wow, is that what it goes for?
It goes for the stomach first. And it leaves all of the scraps, the bones and the muscles, for the carrion.
Right.
I mean, it leaves everything else for the scavengers.
Yeah.
But it always goes for the high value, which is the gut. So it's the pre-digested. Additionally, the saliva, human saliva, doesn't digest meat. It doesn't digest dairy.
And I've always had this dilemma. So if you assume that there's a creator being, we don't know what that is, what it looks like, and you can just speculate. But why would he have created us to eat animals? It's like, it's really icky. If you think there's better ways of designing a human being than having an animal suffer on our behalf and we eat it. Because I always thought it was a heavy flaw in the design. And what I mean, is it a god? Is there a god of magnificence, or isn't there? A magnificent creator being wouldn't have just said, "Oh, here's a bunch of animals. Eat them, kill them, and eat them." It's just such a rough thing to do.
Well, if you venture outside of the 4 Gospels, which have been already biased, but if you go to like the Gospel of Peace, there's 4 books written by the Nicaeans. The Nicaeans were not the Nicaeans, the
Gnostics.
Not the Gnostics, the Essenes, the Essenes. Like saying John the Baptist was an Essene, he was a water worker. Well, the Essene Gospels of Peace, those very specifically talk about eating from the garden and not eating dead animals.
Yeah.
That we should have. Just because you have dominion over the animals doesn't mean you eat them.
Yes, that word dominion
it means you take care of
really
them. That means you're
corrupted, hasn't it? Dominion.
It's really biased.
It's
really
horrible. Yeah,
right.
God gave you dominion. People have thought that meant I can conquer and abuse something else.
By that definition, you can destroy your own children.
Yeah.
That's not okay.
No, it's not. No.
You have dominion over your children. Until
I always thought it was a bit iffy. Yeah. So you're optimistic that we'll be able to... You believe that we can physically live without animal protein, and you're a testament to that. You look really healthy, and you look strong, and you're a plant... You eat plant, occasionally you'll have a shrimp, but other than that, you're pretty much plant-based.
I'll sometimes have a shrimp or a fish.
So you're a testament to this working then.
I'm not the only one. If you look at there's a really good documentary. And again, you can push back on this.
What was it called, this documentary? Because I think when I first met you,
Game Changers.
I watched that.
Game Changers, but also look at the China study. And anybody can blow holes in any of these things. But I ask these simple questions like, why do you have saliva in your mouth that digests plants only? Your saliva does not digest animals. Additionally, when you look at the blue zones, do you know what blue zones are? Oh my goodness. 1/4 of my PhD was on blue zones. And these are areas of the world where the population average is over 100 years old.
Bloody hell.
And they're not just limping to 100 years old with their little walkers.
No,
going,
I saw a movie on this. They're out preparing food, digging their garden, riding their bikes, baking bread. I mean, they're active.
And they're not Nazis about it.
Now, this is down in the Polynesian cultures and
it's all over the place. There's some, and notably, even in North America, if you look at the people in the Seventh-day Adventists, there's one right here in Claremont.
Yes.
The Seventh-day Adventists. Yeah. They're plant-based.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought the only distinction was their Sabbath was on a Saturday, but they're plant-based.
They're plant-based. Well, maybe some of them are no longer, but traditionally they're plant-based. Right. In fact, one of the blue zones, I think it's in Southern California, it's been a long time since my PhD, but back then, there's a place in California that the Seventh-day Adventists had. They had no problems. They had none of these chronic diseases. They had no skin issues. They had no diabetes. They had none of this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's what's in common? Well, they didn't eat dead animals.
Yeah.
And so...
Yeah. And then I've heard a lot of talk in the New Age, and I don't know anything about this, and I don't think I've had subjective experience. So I did with my husband once. I saw his mood change after a big steak, and it was quite tangible. But you're apparently eating the vibration of the animal, and that vibration could be pretty poor if the animal was mistreated. And I hated that concept, that I'm actually going to be taking in the emotions of that animal. I didn't know whether that was woo-woo stuff. Maybe that's real. And maybe you'd feel better, just feel vibrationally better. But it's something you'd have to put to the test. You'd have to give it a couple of months. Just stop eating meat, get some protein, and see for yourself what it does to your intellect, what it does to your sleep cycles. I mean, I feel better when I'm not overloaded with animal protein. I like it. I mean, I'm lucky because I love vegetables, avocados. I love legumes. I make really nice salads, and I'm big on potatoes, being British, so I can live without meat.
Well, I've had people come to my house here, and I ask them if they like tuna fish. I love tuna fish, so I give them some of my tuna fish.
Yes, I've tasted that.
And it's like...
Yeah, now that's the chickpea, isn't it? The
so I use
substitute.
chickpea. This last time I did it
really good.
I did it with white beans and chickpea.
That's a nice blend.
And...
Yeah.
People want it. They asked if they can take some home. You know, I had 20...
And I've done a vegan shepherd's pie. So that's so I'll do you another one of those, darling.
You know what?
But that's amazing.
You bring those by and we eat them for the next several days. They're so good.
They're really good. But it can be done. You can, you have to be a little bit savvy, but you can live without meat. I just think people should test it for themselves. See how you feel.
And I'm not... A lot of people, they think that... like vegans got a bad rap because they're all, there's a huge movement about the protecting the animals and stuff. And I get that. And I love animals so much that I don't eat them. But the vegans sometimes, I've met some vegans that are very, very, very unhealthy because vegans define themselves based on what they don't do. Well, I don't eat dead animals or animal byproducts.
Dairy, yeah.
Well, that's fine, except for one thing. You could eat Oreo cookies, Captain Crunch,
French fries.
Beer, French fries. Those are all vegan.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're totally not healthy. You got this. Your breath stinks. You have, BO.
You're a mess.
You're a mess. You're fat. You're brain fog. That's not
so
vegan.
define it by what you do, and then you have to compensate and give yourself a good diet.
Yeah, that's why I call myself a plant-based eater.
Yes.
Because it's an affirmative.
Yes.
I'm not defined by what I don't do.
Yeah.
But, to everyone, I get pushback, oh, you should do everything in moderation. So if I just have a burger once a week or twice a week, I'm okay. But there's a logical fallacy. It's actually, you can't do everything. It's impossible to do everything in moderation. Because to do everything in moderation, you're violating the rule just by doing everything in moderation. You have to apply the rule moderately.
So expand on that.
Well, think of the word everything.
So if someone wants a burger once a week, but they have a plant-based diet the other 20 meals, that would be considered moderate, and they have to be out with their family and they enjoy it. That to me sounds pretty moderate. Well,
and I agree, and I'm not making judgments for other people. All I'm saying is that you mentioned that if I'm at your house and you have shrimp on the barbecue, well, I'm going to have some of those. Why? Well, because the vast majority of what I eat it's plant-based. It's got color. It's got fiber.
That is moderation.
I'm not going to judge myself for eating a shrimp, but I'm also not going to justify the shrimp because I'm doing it moderately.
Right. I see what you're saying. There's the nuance.
I'm recognizing that, yes, this is not what I...
This is a compromise.
This is a compromise. That's exactly right.
Yes, and I'm not going to be rude about it. This is what's on offer, and I'm going to be polite and gracious. Right. Yeah, but it's not permission, is it?
Yeah, I'm not going in. I'm not going to the store and buying something and saying I'm intentionally doing this because
I've been good all week.
Yeah, I've been good all week, and I deserve this bowl of ice cream. I'm like, no, that's not the way it works.
Yeah.
So no, I will go to people's homes, and I will. Sometimes I don't eat much, and I might just eat the the grapes or something.
Fair enough, though.
And I'll just eat the grapes.
I
and
really admire your discipline, and you've got to be disciplined, and you've got to be true to what it is that you believe, and you always look vibrant and healthy. The whites of your eyes are white. I mean, it's really working.
Oh, you're sweet.
Yeah.
I lecture on, in fact, I should show you these sometimes. There's a whole field of study called epigenetics. Epigenetics. And when you look at the human DNA, science would have you worshiping this double helix. You know, you always see the double helix, right? It looks like a ladder that's twisted. That only represents 2% of your genome. And the only thing the double helix does is prints proteins and folds them one way or the other. 98% of your genome, your genome is sensing what's going on around you. So if the animal you're eating was slaughtered mercilessly, and because it was grown in such bad conditions.
And it had to listen to its baby cry because it got separated.
And it got injected with hormones so it could be all beefed up so you could eat it. And it got, because it was in such hideous conditions, there was just tons and tons of antibiotic injected into it.
I was out visiting my father-in-law years ago. He passed away, and it was in France. And it was towards Belgium, so that was east of Paris. And they had this massive turkey farm to make pâté foie gras, and they nailed their feet to the floor.
What?
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Horrible. That's how they fatten their livers up. Absolutely awful. Anyway, it's getting it's just a horrible visual image.
I know, thank you.
But that's such cruelty. Absolutely terrible.
So I think that...
And that goes on all around, but we're immune to it because we don't see it. So I think if you did, I mean, I never had pâté again after that.
So looking at the positive side of things, you know, you were here last week, but you had to run. I talked to you about these purple sweet potatoes.
Yeah.
That's one of the most nutritious foods you can eat, are those purple on purple sweet potatoes. Some people call them Okinawan. They're like $5 each at the Whole Food store or whatever. And one sweet potato I showed you can grow hundreds of starts.
Yes.
Because it starts to vine out.
Yeah.
When you're growing it, you put it in just a moist substrate. It roots and then it vines. And it vines just like a house plant, just keeps the vine going. Every one of those nodes represents a new plant. Mm-hmm. So now you can start those plants, individual sweet potato nodes.
This goes on forever.
And you're going to have
a farm.
hundreds of sweet potatoes. Yeah. There's really no reason for people to starve.
No, I mean, you bake one of those in the oven, or just cook it for an hour. I never had a sweet potato actually until I came to America. I had the English, the powdery white ones, and a sweet potato is luxurious. It's so silky, so fleshy and soft. I mean, it's an absolute delight to eat. An avocado, I feel like that's about a decent avocado.
Beautiful.
So there's plenty of options. You know, I mean, I wanted to write this book, and I think I'm going to still do it. I'll probably use AI to do the research on it and eat something that's in a husk, a pod, a skin, and you could probably have a beautiful balanced diet, and your calcium comes from vegetables and plants. Right, spinach has calcium.
I'm going to give you, if you're open to reading something else, it's an older book, but it's called The China Study, and I think you'd be blown away.
Do we need calcium?
Well, you can get calcium from spinach and kale.
Right, so you'd have to eat that. You have to eat your leafy greens in order, because you wouldn't want to be having any dairy. I mean, there's no dairy and no meat.
Well, the reason that people think you need to get your calcium from dairy is because we've had 60 years of meat and dairy advertising.
Yeah.
Advertising.
Massive industry.
So guess what? If you take away the subsidies for meat and dairy, and you take away the advertising, and you start teaching people that, yes, I can go to my moringa tree out here, and per gram, you're going to get more calcium from the moringa tree than you are from a dead or from a cow milk. You're going to start, because it's one thing. If I just wanted calcium, I could go to the beach, pick up some seashells, pulverize them, and eat the pure calcium.
Stick them in a blender.
Stick them in a blender, drink them down. Your body doesn't absorb that. It's elemental calcium. What you want to do is put the seashells into the soil, let the plant absorb it.
Right.
And the plant's going to configure it perfectly for Miss Sarah, the queen, here's this perfectly configured calcium.
It found its own calcium.
And it's given to you in a perfect structure that's bioavailable to you. Thank you to the plant, And that's what giving gratitude does.
Yes. Yeah.
You're giving gratitude to the soil, to the microbes.
I think it's very inspiring, darling. I really like it. I've got much more healthier since knowing you.
You look amazing.
Yeah, I feel it.
I know you're, especially after last weekend, you're partying in Lauderdale and stuff. It's like,
oh my God, partying in Deerfield Beach, Fort Lauderdale, and then we went to the Conrad Hotel. So it was a third. It was lovely. It took me about 24 hours to get over that. I mean, I had to be really kind to myself.
But if you weren't doing the correct things, it might have taken you 72 hours.
There we go. That's a great way of processing.
Because even if you abuse yourself, I don't know if you drank, probably.
Oh, I did.
Probably. But even if you do, you're going to recover so much faster because most of what you do most of the time is clean and healthy and you're powerful.
Yes. Yeah.
So it makes you more resilient.
Yeah.
So I used to teach down in West Palm Beach. I used to have a lecture I did that was pre-op, post-op. And if somebody was going in for elective surgery on something, I would like to have them for 30 days prior so I can get their substrate so that they can recover faster. Because what you do before the surgery is going to benefit your recovery.
Yes.
Because once you're cut during the surgery, you're in sympathetic dominance, you're in stress dominance. So now whatever you have on board, that's what you got to work with.
Yeah.
So if you had a bunch of sludge in your blood and it was, everything's waxy and your liver's all fatty, you're not efficient. Now your healing is going to take a lot longer, and your potential for secondary infections, all of that's going to take a lot longer. So I used to lecture that if you're going into some sort of voluntary surgery, let's spend 30 days in advance prepping.
Yeah.
Now, interesting, I've had people come to me 30 days prior saying, I have to have this elective surgery, blah, blah, blah. We do 30 days. Then they go and they say, hey, the doc says I don't need the surgery.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's funny.
The drummer that gave me this set to have in the studio, he had cataracts. And he wanted to lose some weight. So I was helping him with the weight. So as he's losing the weight, he says to me, Jolie, is it possible my vision could be getting better? I said, not possible, probable.
Oh, wow.
I would be surprised if your vision didn't get better. So he says, well, I'm supposed to have cataract surgery. And so he says, they're going to keep an eye on it because the trend is good. And he had a preliminary retinopathy. So he had a degradation of his retina. And long and short of it was after 2 months of really clean nutrition, we actually ended up, they canceled the surgery. His vision was better. He was picking out individual leaves like in the back of the property.
Wow, he was kind of born again, right?
Well,
he had the experience of it. It's now subjective. He saw the difference. That's amazing.
Well,
so that's,
everyone's different.
So give it a couple of months, everyone, and you should be able to test it for yourself.
Well,
the proof should be in the pudding.
I had a girl that 9 years she tried to get pregnant. 9 years. She gave me 1 month. 30 days, I put her on clean nutrients. I coached her with her lifestyle, fresh air, sunshine, get some good sleep, the whole thing. The next month, she was pregnant.
That's awesome.
So
that's absolutely awesome, isn't it?
But we're awesome. These avatars we have are beautiful.
Yeah.
They're self-healing, they're self-regulating.
Yeah, and God would have made them. Whatever God is, it would have done that. That God, we should be designed to function healthily with the resources of this planet without the suffering of anyone.
Yeah. So it's been about an hour, I think. I don't know. I lose track. We covered a lot of stuff.
Yes, we did.
What are your closing thoughts? I mean, I'm so glad you made it. And I'm so glad that you weren't bailing out at noon.
Next time, well, I think like you said, if it'd been a different number, it would have been you'd have got it. But yeah, if I'm running late or early, so you know the code next time, it'll be 7 out. And no, I think today's been a great conversation. We've got more questions to go through with Rosie. And if any of our listeners have a question, Ray, if you're listening, if you have a question, I saw him this morning. Okay. He's going to give us one. Make it difficult, Ray.
Yeah.
But it's been lovely. I want to talk more about AI in the future because I think I'd like an AI assistant. I think that sounds like a really fun relationship and productive, and you can get things done. So we'll talk more about that. But it's been great.
The robot I'm building, what I'm doing right now is I have what I call Rosie. When I ask her for the 17, I'm asking her for the 17 bits of information that have to do with my stock picks, any abnormalities with respect to price action or volume. And then based on, I gave her certain parameters of things that I'm tracking, like American-based cryptocurrency. I gave her certain things to look for in the news. And I said, anything that touches these, I want you to prioritize and give me the top 17. So whenever I ask for the 17, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a robot that when she gives me the 17, it's going to populate a channel on Telegram. So anybody that wants to know what I'm doing.
And this is the Telegram bot that you talked about.
Yes, I'm creating a Telegram bot that will literally, so the bot is going to send information. So anyone
who cares can get it.
Anyone who cares, whenever Rosie gives me the information, I can set it up so
great service.
The whole world gets the information at the same time.
Yeah,
so
that's good.
But it's not there yet.
Service.
It's not there yet, but I'm going to be working on it. I'm glad you're leaning into the AI.
Yeah.
AI does not replace us.
No, but you can get things done very quickly
powerful.
If you ask the right questions.
Yeah, and even now, like we're coming up, we're midway through May. June, July, August in Florida sucks for growing. It's hot. It's miserable. Even so, I can go up to and say, hey, I'm in zone 9B, Central Florida. What's my growing plan? What should I be putting in the soil right now? And give me my next month's game plan for seed starts.
Yeah, God.
And it'll literally tell you what to do.
Yeah.
And you can do that for any place you live. You can say, hey, I live in Chicago. I live in Denver. I want to know what's my planting strategy for June 1st.
And tell me what meals I can cook for a family of 4 under $10. I mean, you literally can just ask anything to make your life easier.
I meant to say that when you were talking about it. You can literally open up your fridge and say, okay, I've got raw broccoli, I've got cantaloupe, I've got leftover peanuts.
Leftover rice.
I've got leftover rice, I've got this and this. Give me a dish that I can use all my leftovers.
Have you ever done it? Has Robin done it?
No, but
I'm going to try it.
Robin probably has. But
I've probably got too much in my pantry, though.
So just pick whatever.
Yes, just pick out something really basic. And see
I got
what it comes
this,
up
and
with.
this.
Yeah.
Any herbs and spices.
Some mushrooms.
Yeah. Just tell me what I can put together, and they'll find a recipe for you.
So it could be a good aid just for housewives who want to economically run their house.
Or house husbands.
Tell me house husbands.
Yeah.
And tell me where the best prices are in town, what's in season, what I should be mixing with this. I mean, you really could use it just to make all areas of your life just more creative and better and more instant. I'm
not sure they're going to be able to tell the best prices because some of these language models are trained many months ago.
Well, if you don't use a large language model and you refine it, there would have to be some code that you could put in that would know the prices of vegetables at Publix right now. They would know which are the buy one get one free specials. So it would change, but it would be nice to know the prices.
Yeah, I mean, if I could find that database...
Because if I could go to Aldi because their blueberries were on sale, then that's really helpful. So that would be nice to get a database. And it will just be kind of Armagnac tips.
That would be awesome to parse that database. Because what happens is Aldi's got their database, but they're going to hold that close.
So they're not going to share that. So how?
Why would they?
Yeah.
Because I could use I could program, if I was Aldi, if you were Aldi... and I was your competitor.
But they would be advertising their own produce, so there'd have to be some type of algorithm that can go into their marketing because you're going to get coupons and you're going to get specials.
Well, if you were Aldi and I was your competitor and you were going to put your database out there in the world, I would use my robot to go and check everything you do all the time.
And now beat your price.
And I would scrape your data and I would automatically adjust my price to this much lower every single time. Plus a coupon.
So that's probably.
And I would literally say, I would honor, bring your Aldi coupon here. I'll honor all competitors'
And you don't
coupons.
you don't think that's in place or someone else has thought of that?
Oh, I think somebody would think of it. But that's why Aldi would not give you the data points. They wouldn't put
because they're giving you an advantage, aren't they?
You're creating an advantage for your competition. So I wouldn't do it. But it doesn't mean there can't be a community, like a cloud-based community hub that says, hey, I'm looking for lion's mane mushrooms in Lake County. where can I find it?
Yes, that's good.
And then
yes,
so
list the locations and how much it is.
That's what I want when I get my mirror node for Web3 for Hedera Hashgraph. That's one of the services I'm going to have.
Great. It's a great service.
People can say, I market Lion's Mane, here it is, and people can find that. So
yeah, directory.
This has been really good.
Yes, it's been
we
lovely.
Were all over the place.
That's okay. I like it. I like going all over the place. As long as we find our way back again.
So so we're not going to look. We can cross off number 1 and number 6.
Yes,
we can cross off those.
The last one was the day I tried to fine. That's even better. Yeah. Find my spirit.
Find my spirit. But I like the fire. So we can cross those off, and then
we'll tackle one when we do it again.
Yeah, we'll just do a random number generator next time.
Sounds good.
Cool. Sarah, thanks for coming out.
Thank you so much.
I enjoyed it. Yeah. Tell us one more time where we can find your information.
Okay, so Amazon are where my books are sold. That's the Starside Prophecy, that's the Mirror World, and that's Is This the Best God Could Do? And We Who Are Becoming Gods, and sarahthierry.com is my website. And
I've also got her bookstore at souldecodes.com. So just go to Soul Decodes. Y'all, thank you for joining us today. If you have anybody that can benefit from any of this stuff, even if it means just giving them a laugh, that would be great. Just share. We have a lot of fun doing this, and we hope you do too. Have a great day.
Bye, everyone.
Soul Decodes, a feature presentation, airs every Friday on the Earth Angel Media Network. This episode of Soul Decodes is sponsored and produced by Live Pure. Optimize your life by taking your health to the next level. Listen now to learn how Live Pure will make your world better.
Live Pure is an American-based distribution system of online portals that give discounted access to clean, potent, natural, and ethically sourced healthy solutions for fat loss, muscle gain, immaculate skin care, immune system support, whole body cleanse, physiological balance, and performance support for athletes of all ages. Live Pure handpicks the best products and nutrients from world-class companies, always adding to their quickly growing wellness lineup that now includes Korean skincare, medical-grade nutraceuticals listed as pharmaceutical alternatives in the physician's desk reference, and healthy coffee that rivals the world's best, but for only about $1 per cup. Soul Decodes listeners looking for vitality, youth, beauty, and better health can get 25% off retail by visiting livepure.com/Sarah Thierry and signing up for free as a preferred customer. If you are a content creator, influencer, or home-based entrepreneur looking for worldwide cash flows from the emerging gig economy, Live Pure's state-of-the-industry brand partner affiliate program can bring you up to 7 different payment vectors as bonuses. As a content creator aligned with Live Pure and Earth Angel Media, you will enjoy massive co-marketing benefits, including a cutting-edge website that is personally branded to you or to your business. Sign up as a brand partner at livepure.com/Sarah Thierry, or drop us a note at connect@earthangelproject.com to get more information.